Hello friends, how are you? Today I am going to be doing the first in what I hope to make a little series of videos, or like a playlist, and it's going to be doing something like, like a house overview, or like maybe more accurately, like the bottles, like all the bottles or all the different fragrances I've got from one single house. And today I am going to start with a house that I really, well, at least I used to love. I haven't released anything worthy of buying for a long time now, in my opinion. And it is Mugler. This will be my family portrait of Mugler. As you can see this lurking back here. I will show you and tell you a little bit about each one. And then you can tell me if you want me to rank them maybe one day in future. My personal ranking. So I'm not sure. I don't want this to turn into a ranking channel, you know. I'm not a huge ranker. I'm not as big a ranker as some people on this platform. Some people, that's all they do on this platform, is just rank themselves off. Anyway, so we'll start at the we won't start at the beginning. We'll start with just the order in which I've like stashed them from left to right. This is pure coffee. I hope it's pure coffee. Yeah, it is pure coffee. Of course it is. This is pure coffee. This is particularly rare now. I managed to pick this up about 6 months ago. It's got the gold star. Part of the problem on some of these Muglers is that you can't see the level. In fact, no, this is the only one you can't see the level on. It's really nice. It's got a very strong coffee note at the top, and then it's got, this is a theme with the Amen line. Apart from a couple of them, what they really are is Amen. They are basically Amen, and then they've got like a different note, whatever the note is that they've got at the top. This is pure coffee, and it is basically Amen with a big, strong coffee note at the top. It's got the brown bottle. It's a little bit, I don't know if you can see that because the light's not the best in here. Doesn't have really any sort of particular grain or anything, because the grain does change on a couple of them. But it's standard Amen bottle with the big gold star. This is becoming quite expensive now. Somebody trying to sell one of these on eBay at the moment for $300 on base notes. I beg your pardon. Sealed though. Not sure any of these are worth $300, but there we are. Don't get us wrong. The Amen series, before they became these are all Thierry Mugler bottles. They aren't the new Mugler bottles. Because the new Mugler bottles, I wouldn't advise buying them. I couldn't sit and say to you, yes, you're fine going out and buy them. Buy Thierry Mugler bottles while you can, because they're disappearing fast and the prices are going through the roof, because they are much, much better quality than the new L'Oreal ones, which are bastardized. They're really poor. Amen is supposed to be a big, vulgar, hard-hitting, over-the-top fragrance, and now it isn't. And there's not really much excuse for that, because it doesn't have the most expensive materials in the world. It's very synthetic in a good way. In like a really good way. One of the best designer fragrances ever made is our Amen. I've got a few bottles of this. This is a refillable one. I've got a couple of refills, and I've got a little 30ml. This is from the early 2000s. I've also got another tester bottle from the early 2000s as well. Stock one that is one of my favourite fragrances. It's absolutely tremendous. But anyway, we'll move on to the next one. The next one, this has got a different grain on the bottle. It's a little bit smoother. This one's got a little bit, like pure coffee's got a bit more of like a grainy sort of thing. This is a bit smoother, but still rubbery. This is pure Havane. This is a Thierry Mugler bottle. This is my original bottle. I have bought it back up, but I've barely ever worn it. Very sweet. Very sweet. And I've struggled to wear it. I do think it's a little juvenile with the big cherry note in it. And whenever I smell like you know, like cherry sort of flavouring or cherry sweetener, it does remind us of like child sweets. And that's what I get mainly from this. I get the cherry rather than tobacco. Even though it's pure Havane, it's definitely more pure cherry for me. And I really like it. But I like it more on other people. I like the idea of it more than I like the fragrance, if that makes sense. Excuse me, I'll just take a drink. I've got a full bottle and I have bought a backup. I've got the backup with the little cigar label on the top as well, one of the original releases. Because it's one of those fragrances I thought about selling it or giving it away, and then I come to do it and I'm like, oh, I can't do that. Because I would feel at a loss without it. So that's pure that. This one is probably my favourite from the line behind Amen, or up top with Amen. This is Taste of Fragrance. I've also got a backup of this. This is absolutely fantastic. The chili note in the top suits the fragrance down to the ground. It is beautiful. It was made in conjunction with some kind of like chef, which I think sounds like a bit of a gimmick, but I don't care if it's a gimmick, if it works, if the fragrance is good, and the fragrance is good. It's definitely worth picking out. It's probably the best flanker, in my opinion. It's not the most sought after flanker. It's not the most popular flanker, and rarely do you hear of anybody talking about it. I'll do a review on this fragrance, definitely. I'd like to review most of these, but after a while it sort of becomes redundant after the top because they all turn into Amen. But this one is fantastic, and if you ever find it on your travels, I would just buy it. It's absolutely fantastic. Next up is Pure Leather, and this has got a different grain on the bottle. It's got that sort of pleasurable leather. It's got pleasurable leather. It doesn't have the name Pure Leather on the bottom. This is one of the earlier flankers. It's a really good flanker. The leather note lasts for about 20 minutes, half an hour. I wouldn't spend big bank on this, although it does go for big money. I wouldn't spend big money on this. I don't think it's worth it. But it is nice. And I have worn it a few times, but I don't know if you can see the level, but they're basically full. Amen. If you struggle to spray Amen, do not ever, not now, not ever, cut that. Work on the strength of your fingers. Don't cut it. Don't be a wuss. Harden up. Not that you can cut the top off this one because it's made of metal, unless you like Eugene and you get a blowtorch. But don't blowtorch this. This is a fantastic fragrance. This is, as I said before, one of the best designers ever made. It is absolutely outrageous. It's one of those marks, like a line in the sand for a perfume. It's like there are perfumes before this fragrance and there are perfumes after. They say this is like the first true gourmand, and I don't really know about that because perfumes have had notes like lemon and bergamot. Well, I mean, you can't, not that you eat bergamot, but they've had like notes like that in before. So I'm not sure if I consider it the first true gourmand, but it's an absolutely sensational fragrance. Very masculine, very strong. I've said that, but I wouldn't mind smelling this on a girl. Be very chic on a girl. It would be very different, very strong. Very sure of herself on a girl, so I really like this. Next one we have is Pure Tonka. This is going for big bucks online. It's still available as a Mugler, but don't buy the Muglers because they're crap. This is very, very strong. It's got a very rubbery texture, the bottle. It's more like a shiny sort of, these things are fingerprint magnets. Well, this thing is anyway, and so's the metal one. It's a little bit less matte than the rest of them. It's a little bit more sort of like reflective and shiny. But this is great. Big Tonka note. I think it smells a lot like Fève de la Suisse, with a bit more like a bit stronger. It's obviously not as good quality. Like Fève de la Suisse has obviously got like that. I mean, the original release of Fève de la Suisse, not the post 18 version. I suppose they've both been neutered now, so it's just like basically what's happening to perfume. But this is really good. I paid about 25 quid for this because the lass gave us some off. Here is Pure Malt. This is one that I've probably used the most of. It's down to about here. I don't know if you can see that. This has just got the regular feel to it. Same as like the normal Amen bottles. I think this was the first flanker or the third flanker. It was like, so that's like, it's one of the first ones because they discontinued it and then they brought it back. And when they first discontinued it, it was going for $300 on eBay, and then people fell flat on their face when they re-released it. and lost loads of money. That's what you get for speculating on fragrance, I suppose. Nothing certain, is it? But yeah, this is Amen. Lovely, lovely malty boozy note. I'll try and review that one day. This is, yes, B-Men. Big licorice. This is also in a metal bottle, but it's a slightly different color. It's like a grey green sort of color, with a red star, akin to this is the first flanker, I should say. Yes, well, that's if you consider B-Men a flanker, which I do. I'm glad that I'm Amen B-Men, and I'm glad they stopped at B-Men and they didn't move on to the next letter. But this has got a big licorice at the top. Reminds me a little bit of Lolita Lempicka, that sort of fake licorice sort of note. I think it was really in vogue and around the early to mid 2000s, like a licorice note. I can't remember who made this. I think it was Hooklier. Hooklier made all of these, if I'm not mistaken. But Anik Minardo made the licorice, the Lolita Lempicka with the licorice in. So I think it was just like a note de jour around that time. This is really nice. Again, do not cut the top out. Just grow a set, you know what I mean? Just learn how to spray them properly. Don't be weak. And last but not least, from the Amen line anyway, is Pure Wood. I got this. In fact, I should say this as well. I got this and Taste of Fragrance. I bought them both off Deva from Fragrance Bros. Deva's a legend, as we all know. And I bought these off Deva. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm selling some of these. Do you want them?" I was like, "Yeah," and they were great prices as well. Like, you didn't gouge anything. He's proper sound. So I managed to get this. This is a really good flanker as well. This one's a bit more different than the other ones. The like the cedar note in it, like the wood in it, like makes it like sort of like lighter somehow. It's sort of like the bottle. You can see the grain on that. That's kind of cool. How it's different. You know, I like that. I think if you're going to do gimmicky things like that, do them properly, do them well, you know? And that's where I'm at. That's down to about there as well. So thank you, Deva. And because these are really hard to find. And that is my Amen collection. I haven't bought any of the other. I had Cryptomint, and I gave it away because it was the Mugler version and it was pants. For lack of a better word, it was not very good. Didn't smell like an Amen. Didn't smell like mint chocolate chip per se. Just smelled like a weak sort of rubbish mint, and then dragged down to like sort of like a blue fragrance, a crappy blue fragrance, sort of like what's it called? Ultime. That was an absolutely disgraceful release. The less said about that, the better. Can't get Ultra Zest. I was given the chance, thought I would just wait, and then I waited so long that it got discontinued. Now the prices are absolutely scandalous. It is not worth 300 quid. It's not worth anywhere near that kind of money, but that's what people want. I should have bought it at the time, but that's what you get for hesitation. The last fragrance I would show you is Mugler Cologne, the original one. This is really good. Cheap and cheerful. Buy this, you just throw it on, you reapply it 4 hours later. It smells fresh, it smells nice, it smells great in the air. And I would say that if you just want to smell like a green grassy sort of fragrance, an alternative to like original Vetiver, which basically smells like this. I don't know if Pierre Bautadon made this like he made the Creeds, but I don't think he did. I think it was Marius actually. But yeah, this is a really good fragrance. I'm sure you've all smelled it. I'm sure you've all, I think you can still get it in the newer bottles, and it's just weaker and not as good. It's not quite as, you could never describe this scent as being like sophisticated or complicated, because it's not. But it was certainly better than what it's become now. And that new line of like the whole ones that are like Fly With Me and Come Together, they're just not good. So yes, these are all my perfumes from the House of Mugler. I'll be doing this with other houses. Serge Lutens, Guerlain, Gucci, YSL especially, Tom Ford, Chanel, maybe a couple of other houses. I'll have to check. I'll have to have a think about maybe Smalto, because I've got a few from Smalto. House of Matriarch. And we'll just see where we go from there. But yes, I hope you enjoyed these. And I will see you. Let's give you a little family portrait there. I will see you all again soon. Bye.